If your car's heater isn't working, the worst mistake you can make is rushing to a mechanic, because 9 times out of 10, you'll walk out with a bill in the thousands, sometimes over $2,000 for parts you didn't even need. But here's the secret most drivers never hear about. There's a simple fix that costs less than the price of a fast food meal. And when you do it right, your car's heat doesn't just come back. It blows twice as hot as before. And stick around until the end. A simple move that most mechanics will never tell you about. Number 7. Thermostat Check. When your heater suddenly stops working, there's one culprit behind nearly a third of all failures: the thermostat. In fact, studies show that around 30% of heating problems are caused by this one part alone, especially in cars over 8 years old. And the biggest clue? That little check engine light you've been ignoring. If your scanner pulls up the code P0128, it usually means the thermostat is stuck open. What does that mean? It means coolant is constantly circulating, even when it's not supposed to. So no matter how much you crank up the heat, the cabin just stays cold. Now here's the tricky part. Your car's computer doesn't always catch a faulty thermostat. Sometimes the ECU thinks everything's fine. That's why you need a quick hands-on test. Here's what you do. Drive your car, park it, and wait a few minutes. Then pop the hood and touch the hose running into the top of the radiator. If it feels cool instead of warm, that's a red flag. Your thermostat could be stuck open. But before you assume that's your problem, there's another step that most drivers completely overlook. Number 6. Coolant level. Believe it or not, most heating problems don't come from broken parts at all. They come from something as simple as low coolant. And here's the shocking part. Only about 19% of drivers actually check their coolant regularly. The rest wait until it's an emergency, usually when they're freezing in the driver's seat. Here's why it matters. If your coolant is too low, air pockets form in the system. And because the heater core sits at one of the highest points, it fills with air instead of liquid. The result? You get hot air trapped in the wrong place, and nothing but cold blowing into the cabin. On the flip side, having too much coolant is just as bad. Extra fluid builds up pressure in the system, which can stop the heater core from working. Worse, it can lead to overheating, engine misfires, and even electrical issues. The fix is simple. When the engine is cool, check both the radiator and the reservoir. Make sure the level is steady, not too low, not overflowing. That one check could save you a winter of misery and a repair bill you don't want. But let's say your coolant checks out fine. In that case, the next clue doesn't come under the hood. It shows up right on your dashboard. Number 5. Engine temp check. One of the most overlooked parts of diagnosing heating problems is your engine temperature gauge. On older cars especially, the engine needs a proper warm-up before you'll ever feel hot air inside the cabin. If you're impatient and crank the heat too early, you'll just get cold air. Now once the car is fully warmed up, the temperature needle should settle right in the middle of the gauge. That's the sweet spot. The engine is running at its optimal temperature, and your heater should be delivering steady warmth. But here's the catch. If the needle stays too low, your coolant system isn't reaching full heat, which could point to a stuck-open thermostat or another circulation problem. And if it creeps too high, that's a red flag for overheating, coolant blockages, or even head gasket trouble. So keep an eye on that gauge. It's a built-in warning system most drivers ignore. But sometimes the issue isn't under the hood at all. It's hiding right inside your car's cabin. Number 4. AC settings. Here's something surprising. A lot of heating complaints come down to using the AC controls the wrong way. Most drivers crank the fan to max right away, thinking it'll heat up faster. But that's actually the opposite of what you want. The smarter move: set the dial to full red. Keep the fan on low at first, and let the engine build heat. Once the air starts warming, then you can slowly ramp up the fan speed. This way you don't blast cold air through the vents before the system's ready. Another hidden trick is the recirculation button. When it's on, the system reuses the air already inside your car, which heats up much faster than pulling in freezing air from outside. But here's the warning. Never use recirculation if your windows are fogging up, because it'll make the fog worse and kill your visibility. So if your settings are dialed in correctly, but the cabin still feels like an icebox, the next clue comes from something you can actually hear. Number 3. Blend door actuator. Inside your dashboard sits a tiny but powerful piece of hardware called the blend door actuator. Its only job is to control whether the air blowing into your cabin is hot or cold. When it works right, you get smooth temperature changes. But when it fails, the symptoms are hard to ignore. Drivers often notice the air stuck at one extreme, blazing hot or ice cold with no in-between. Other times, the temperature shifts randomly, almost like the system has a mind of its own. There's a quick test you can try. With the engine running, slowly sweep the temperature knob from cold to hot. If you hear knocking, clicking, or a faint whirring sound behind the dash, that's the actuator struggling to move. And if it can't move, the blend door can't adjust, which means no control over the heat. But even if that checks out, there's another silent culprit that can sneak up on you and kill your heat without warning. Number 2. Blower motor resistor. Another part that can leave you freezing without warning is the blower motor resistor. Unlike some parts with predictable lifespans, this one can fail at any time, sometimes after years of service, other times much sooner. The good news is it's one of the easiest problems to diagnose. Just run a quick fan speed test. Start on the lowest setting and gradually move to the highest. If certain speeds don't work or the fan only blasts on full power but not in between, that's a classic sign the resistor has gone bad. Before you rush to replace it, always check the fuse first. A blown fuse can mimic the same symptoms, and fixing it costs almost nothing. But if the resistor itself is the issue, most replacements run around $100, which is far cheaper than a full heater repair. If the blower motor passes the test, then we're left with the most common and most frustrating cause of weak or no heat. Number 1. Heater core. The big one. If everything else checks out, there's a good chance the problem lives deep inside the dash, the heater core. Over years, coolant breaks down and leaves behind rust, scale, and sludge that clogs the tiny passages. A blocked heater core can stop heat cold, even when the rest of the system looks healthy. This is where mechanics often steer you toward a costly replacement. On many cars, a heater core swap can run $1,000 to $2,000, and much more on luxury models. Some shops will suggest an expensive coolant flush that only gives a short-lived improvement. Then they point to replacement once the heat drops again. That's the classic upsell. Here's the better option most people never hear about: a CLR flush. That household cleaner breaks up surface rust and limescale in the core, and when done correctly restores flow in roughly 9 out of 10 clogged cores. It costs a few bucks, takes an afternoon, and often gets you back to blazing hot air without a 4-figure bill. A few quick warnings before you try it. Don't attempt a CLR flush if the heater core is leaking. Flushing will make leaks worse and can ruin your dashboard. Always check for coolant smell inside the cabin, wet carpet under the dash, or coolant dripping from the AC drain. Use gloves and eye protection. CLR is a skin and eye irritant. And when you flush, use low water pressure so you don't bend or damage the fins. If you want to try this yourself, keep your tools ready and follow every safety step, because done right, this one trick will fix the heater in most cars. Here's exactly how to do it yourself, step by step. How to flush a clogged heater core. Most mechanics will charge you over $1,000 to replace a clogged heater core, but you don't need to. With just a few tools and a $6 solution, you can bring your car's heat back stronger than ever. I'll walk you through 8 simple steps from leak checks to the final coolant refill so you don't miss a single detail. Stick with me, because step 7 is the one that makes or breaks the entire fix. Step number 1. Leak check. Before you even think about flushing, you need to make sure the heater core isn't leaking. A leak means the job is already lost, and flushing will only make things worse. Look for a sweet coolant smell inside the car, wet carpets under the dashboard, or coolant dripping from the AC drain. You can also use a pressure tester to be extra sure. If you confirm a leak, the only option is a replacement, but if not, move on to the next step. Step number 2. Remove the heater core hoses. Once the engine is completely cool, locate the 2 heater core hoses at the firewall. Place a drain pan underneath, then carefully loosen and remove them. Expect coolant to spill out, so gloves and safety glasses are a must. Collect the coolant safely. Remember, it's toxic to pets. With the hoses off, you're now ready to clear the core of old fluid. Step number 3. Evacuate old coolant. Using either an air pump on low pressure or just gravity, blow out as much coolant as possible from the heater core. Do this from both sides to ensure it's completely drained. Avoid high pressure, it can damage the thin metal fins inside. When nothing more comes out, you've got a clean slate. Now comes the part that makes this trick so powerful. Step number 4. Add CLR and let it soak. Insert a small hose and funnel into the heater core. Then slowly pour in CLR until it's full. This household cleaner dissolves rust, limescale, and sludge that block hot coolant flow. Let it sit for at least 1 hour to break down all the buildup inside. Wear gloves and eye protection. CLR can irritate skin. Once it's had time to work, you'll flush it all away. Step number 5. Flush with a garden hose. Connect a garden hose to one heater core port and run water at very low pressure. About a quarter turn on the spigot is enough. Flush until the water runs clear, then repeat from the opposite side. This back and forth rinse ensures every bit of gunk is gone. Watch closely, you should see rusty sludge and sediment pouring out. When the water flows clean, it's time to seal everything back up. Step number 6. Reattach hoses and refill coolant. Reattach the heater hoses tightly and secure the clamps. Now refill the radiator with the correct coolant mixture for your car. And don't forget to top off the overflow reservoir. If you're mixing your own, always use distilled water, not tap water. Tap water adds minerals that can clog the core again. But before you take a victory lap, there's one final step that makes or breaks this fix. Step number 7. Bleed the cooling system. With the radiator filled, attach a spill-free funnel and start the engine. Turn the heater on high and the fan on low. Watch for bubbles rising in the funnel. This is trapped air leaving the system. Keep adding coolant until no more bubbles appear and warm air blows from the vents. Only then can you cap it off. Done right, your heater should now blast hotter than ever. Step number 8. Final warning. Use the correct coolant. It's tempting to grab the cheapest jug off the shelf, but using the wrong coolant is a shortcut to disaster. It can corrode the system, clog the heater core again, or even cause a blown head gasket. A $5,000 repair. Always check your owner's manual and buy the right formula. Get this step right, and you'll enjoy years of reliable heat without another mechanic's bill. Bonus tip: coolant flush to prevent engine failure. Did you know that 60% of heater core failures are caused by bad coolant? Old coolant breaks down, turns acidic, and eats away at your cooling system. That's why manufacturers recommend flushing it every 2 to 5 years, or between 30,000 and 60,000 miles. A shop will charge you $200 for a professional flush, which is money well spent compared to a $4,000 engine replacement. But if you're on a budget, you can DIY it with a coolant flush kit, distilled water, and the right antifreeze for under $50. The process is simple. Drain the radiator, add distilled water and flush solution, circulate it with the engine running, then drain again and refill with fresh coolant. Finally, bleed the system just like you did after the heater core flush. This one bit of preventative maintenance doesn't just keep your cabin heat strong, it protects your entire engine from catastrophic failure. Heat that actually works. And there you have it. Your car's heating should now be blowing twice as hot as before. No expensive trips to the mechanic, no $2,000 part swaps. Just a $6 solution that works in over 90% of cases. The secret: a simple CLR flush to unclog your heater core. And if you pair that with a regular coolant flush every 2 to 5 years, you'll not only keep your heat blazing hot, but also prevent engine-killing failures down the road. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss the next car-saving tip.